Gallipoli's on the other side of the world. Kokoda's right on their doorstep, you know. Gallipoli were fighting for someone else, trying to protect someone else's land, but Kokoda was our land, you know, we were protecting us. And look what we've got now. Without it, who knows?
In 1942, crack Japanese troops, undefeated, landed on northern New Guinea and began making their way towards Port Moresby. Australia, seemingly under threat, sent many soldiers to fight the Japanese on what was to become known the Kokoda Track. It won a great battle with courage, spirit, and with the help of the local villagers. Now, 62 years later, many of the survivors have died and there are few left. It has been left up to their grandchildren and other proud Australians to head back to Kokoda and walk the track themselves.
Gallipoli created a nation, but Kokoda saved a nation.
The word Kokoda initially probably didn't mean anything to me, but the World War II did, and I suppose from the time I was 6 or 7 I was going on the Anzac marches with Grandpa back in the late 70s, and I guess, yeah, it sort of stemmed from there, the sort of fascination with, well, not war, but what sort of Grandpa had been through.
As young kids tried to pry into it a little, and something he didn't really want to share with us, and really since he's died, I guess, since we've grown older, sort of appreciated what the diggers did over in Kokoda, the sacrifices they made, and in the last few years, I guess, we've got a real developed a passion for it, and just became something we always wanted to do, just walk the Kokoda Trail in Grandpa's footsteps.
It's the third generation for myself and Ryan. Grandpa and Dad walked it back in '82. Since Grandpa died 4 or 5 years ago, I guess it's sort of heightened awarenesses a bit. You can't really compare, but I guess as some sort of tribute, you can at least go there and walk it with your own 2 feet.
He passed away almost 5 years ago now, so sort of, you know, there's a million questions now that we want to ask him, but we'll never get answered, so go over there and try and find out for ourselves what it was like.
We've been training probably 3 or 4 nights a week, and the last probably month and a half we've been with the packs on, loading up to 20 kgs in the back and getting into it. You just want to get there and be as ready as possible, because none of us know how hard it's going to be. But for me and my family, it's all about my granddad. He was over there and fought in the 2nd 16th Battalion, and he made it back okay, and I know a lot of his mates didn't, and he didn't ever really talked about it, but he just the sort of person he was. He had cancer and got pneumonia and passed away, and they couldn't tell him to give up smoking. I tried, but he just wouldn't do it, and I'm just shattered that we never spoke more about it. It just cuts me up every day that I think about it. That he could have told me so much, and we just didn't speak about that part of the war. We just didn't. I just wish I had done it while he was still alive. It would have been no one's fault, but it's just just something I feel like I've missed out. You know, it's probably the last 5 years that he was alive was probably the most time we spent together.
Trepidation, not really. I mean, I'm not naturally an outdoorsy sort of roughing it type person, but it's a pretty small sacrifice to make.
Just so I can pass it on to my kids and they can pass it on to theirs, and so it's never forgotten. But, Australia probably wouldn't be Australia today without it. There's 10 of us going on the trek, and yeah, we're going to fly from Melbourne to Cairns and stay the night, then fly from Cairns to Port Moresby, stay the night again, and then get up early and fly on a very small plane through the Kokoda Gap and land at Kokoda and trek our way back across the Owen Stanleys.
The plateau really struck me as an amazing looking place because I just envisaged thousands of Japanese just coming out of the shrubbery. And
What an important place to keep, with a lookout 500 metres, 360 degrees. You could almost picture the Japanese trying to, you know, sneak up the hill over the tiny little ridges, and you know what happened when they made it over the top.
It's the position they would have had there on all areas. You could see for 500 metres in every area, you know, every direction, and it just the outlook was just such an important spot to keep.
It just happens that you start imagining how it was because you've read so much about it. As we come down in the plane and landed on that runway, you picture the actual guys doing it as well, and obviously it's a bit different being greeted by smiling faces on the other side.
No, everyone, bro. We're outnumbered at least 6 to 1, possibly probably more in certain positions. But they had the ability to send forces around our flanks without any opposition. We knew things were going to be pretty tough, and numbered the terrain and the conditions we knew we'd be up against. Earlier they said it would be up against about 1,500 Japs, and that's all, and then another 1,500 had been landed, and the big depot said, oh well, we just have to kill a few more. But then later it turned up 17,000 landed from the Japs again. We'd sent over only the 2 battalions, each of 550 men, and plus what was left of the 39th Battalion. I did have a bit of a premonition that Butch might be killed. And Butch, my brother, he held that ground for roughly about 2.5 to 3 days. His 3 platoons from B Company held that. That's when he was wounded on the 29th. But they subsequently, later on, after we came through, they found 250 Jap graves right in front of that 1 platoon position. Yeah. And only 35 men in the platoon that were responsible. Yeah. And as we were going back past a couple of fellows, and they said that Butch had been hit. I heard that he'd been hit, his men were carrying him out. Had a look at his wounds, and he'd been shot, burst a machine gun through his tummy, and I could tell, there was no hope. It's something that, stayed in my memory for, for years, and I'll never forget that experience. But I was glad to be with him when he died, and we relived some of our good times and bad times together. And because his troops loved him, and his platoon, he was very popular with the troops, right through the battalion actually. We certainly want to ensure that that it becomes well known, and the significance of the whole operation becomes known to all Australians, particularly younger people.
Warm enough for you?
Oh. What a view.
Well, that's lunch burned off.
The Sharava was the important one because it set the Japs back on their heels. It upset their whole supply program, and they'd had it worked out. They reckon they'd be in Moresby in 12 days.
As we come out of the jungle and just seen this opening, and now that I'm here and read the plaques, and I suppose this is what it's all about. We walked down with Ivan, who's the caretaker of this place, and he just told us the battles and where they happened, and how much blood there was, and how much they were punished by the terrain and the battles. It's just awesome, just lost for words really.
This is our village where our old people used to live here, and the war came here. 10 generations we live here, and the time war came. And the surrounding here is a very beautiful site, and tourists are most welcome to have a look at this site.
This is the site of the main event. It's pretty hard to explain really. It's like they've picked paradise to come and spend the fiercest battle over 4 days, and 6,000 Japs and 1,000 Australians have done pretty well to hold them off for 4 days. It's just unbelievable. Look around now, it's just a picture of peace.
Struggling to keep a check on my emotions at this stage. Don't know if it's the heat or me blisters or just the enormity of the moment, just being here.
Sharava is the place where Private Kingsbury won the highest VC in this village.
I'd say this is the most awesome part of the track for me. I've read quite a bit about Kingsbury, and just to be here in this spot is bloody amazing for me. As Phil Roden said, this act of gallantry by Kingsbury probably saved Australia, well, can be argued that saved Australia, and just to be in this spot, it's it just means so much to me. Worth the whole effort getting up here.
Trying to imagine how we had the enemies coming up sort of either side to go down and stand where he stood to try and fight them off was just heroic. You can't, it's too hard to comprehend.
It's just an amazing place. That's such a beautiful, pristine place. Such, you know, fantastic views. Really was part of one of the bloodiest battles in history, in Australian history, and it's quite chilling being here at the moment.
So the Australia did a very tremendous work, and we should praise the war veterans or the soldiers who fought here and gave their lives for our children, and like in PNG, Papua New Guinea children, also the Australian children now.
I think having such close ties is what's making me emotional. Just the fact that there's a lot of dead bodies out there who would have given their life for my grandfather. He was one of the lucky ones to come back.
Been thinking about him the whole time. We're going to try and find the spot where D Company was set up.
Yeah, I've been thinking about him all this morning, all the way here along this track. How narrow and slippery it was, and what he went through to give us the quality of life that we've got now. It's just amazing.
It's just a surreal place, just the Kokoda Pass as the backdrop, and just trying to imagine looking out there and just imagine being marauded by hundreds of Japanese on 3 sides. It's just unfathomable. The hills are probably more than 50% mental and physical, because obviously if you look at what what soldiers achieve, then anything's sort of possible here. So really it's just a matter of not looking up, just making sure you watch each foot hit the ground, or you're a real chance of falling over. if I'm battling up the hill, I don't know, just try and draw some sort of inner strength and just, if I can, just walk slower and slower and just try and keep myself moving the whole time, because I find once you stop, it's hard to get going again.
How does a big fella like you get going?
He struggles. We went all right. I think everyone's sort of surprised themselves with the amount of endurance and you know, physical ability they've got, and like Dan said, most of it's mental. If you think you're not going to make it, you just watch the bloke's heels in front of you and suck them in. If you really need a rest, you stop for a couple of minutes, but not for too long, because then you just stop and get stiff.
Yeah, the hills are very, very steep, especially coming out of the water, out of the creeks. And yeah, I agree with the rest of them. As long as you keep moving, take small steps. I have to stop more than most, get my breath. But yeah, it's amazing. I've found what is possible if you can apply yourself and just keep going.
The hills are probably steeper both up and down than I could have even imagined. I think there's not much flat in a section. It's either straight up or straight down. There's no in-betweens.
The terrain's been hell. It's been nothing I can imagine. What we trained for was somewhere along the lines, but we didn't train hard enough. You know, we could have just trained harder and harder. But I don't think, as fit as you are, it wouldn't matter. It's just tough. The porters have just been amazing for us, carrying our gear, and these guys are weighing 50, 60 kilos at best, you know, wringing wet, and these guys are carrying 20, 30 kilo packs, and while they're carrying them, you don't hear them whinge, you don't hear a word, you know, they're just slogging away and just pushing and pushing and pushing.
We have fun when we are working with young Australians, older ones. Because when they come here, they like us because we are very friendly, we smiling people. They like us. So we walk on the track, we enjoyed the whole trip to Port Moresby. I like walking on the track because the track is a historical track, and one of most bloodiest battles was fought along the border track. Because we live at the start of the track, we are very happy to track with Australians walking along the track. The track helps us, young people, young boys from the village, to get some income, to help ourselves buy some our basic needs like tools for working in the garden, clothes, all these important things. We get our income from walking on the track. I'll walk the track until I can't walk anymore. When I'm growing older, I'll stop.
I personally thought Isharava, the battle site there, would have been the most emotional thing here, and I can't believe that it was almost by chance that we happened to be able to meet the last fuzzy wuzzy, or carrier as they like to be called.
Pleasure to meet you. Very honoured to meet you.
Well, when he finally hobbled his way up the hill, I thought, geez, this guy's just, you know, he was about 3 foot tall, he was bent over that much, he was struggling, I didn't think he was going to make it up the hill, and then, you know, he sat down and his whole persona and posture just changed. He sat down, he was proud as punch, the chest went out, the shoulders come back, and he was just an awesome figure. He just commanded everyone's respect.
You see this little bloke hobble up the hill, and as soon as he sat down, he just had an aura about him. You know, you just automatically knew that this guy was a special figure. And
okay, he said he was very happy when he was a Fujiwa Angel, and he was happy to help. He said your grannies or boo-boos when they were in the war. He said that when he was walking up and down during this war there, he did not help any Japanese, but he was helping the Australians to carry their cargoes up and down, and the wounded men from Kokoda to Mayola and that way here to Wisconsin.
How do you feel about people like us walking along the track?
Okay, he said that he was very happy because he was the one who helped them carry their cargo from Kokoda all the way, even though it was hard time that time. But he said, I made it. So when the trailers or trekkers come up and down, he said he was very happy to have them in here, come and see them, or otherwise walk up and down the trail.
We let him know that our grandfathers have been here, and you know, and they'd been helped by him somewhere on the line. You know, the Australians have been helped, and he was the last one, and we just wanted to thank him. And yeah, and when he asked for us three at the end, you know, who we were, and I just lost it then. I know the other boys were the same, and it was just unbelievable.
We mentioned to him that there was 3 of us here who were descendants of guys that fought on the track, and that tore us right up.
He wants to see those 3 people at this present time. Those
You're right.
thank you. Thank you very much.
He was the one who helped your daddy or your grannies during the war, and he was very happy to do that work, even though it's hard, but he said he made it during the time.
Oh yes.
He said, even though it is not my people, my own village people, but he said, I made it. I helped them during the war. Sometimes they run out of food, but he said, we managed to struggle and then carry the cargoes and all those. Life was very hard during that time, but he said, I made it. It wasn't my own village people, but they are from Australia, but he said, I helped them with all my best.
And after the translator said he wants to meet those men now, I was the same. I just lost it. I was a bit overcome, and it was just special. I mean, he's the last one.
There's no way I can talk about it.
he said during that time, when it was at the Konedobu there, Konedobu or town there, down in Port Moresby, the Japanese came up and then threw their bombs and then bombed the area that it was the harbour there, Port Moresby harbour. Then he ran away from there to 9 Mile. That was in Moresby, and he pulled out all the grasses and then sleep inside like a wild pig, making his house inside.
I mean, no good. No good.
I just wanted to mention too that his ring finger was pretty much all missing, and that was he cut that off himself to commemorate the death of his wife last year. Also, there must be something pretty special about the guy to be almost 100 years old in a place like this with, you know, no mod cons, no medicines, no nothing. It's just phenomenal.
There were some of them, but they died away, but he was the only person living at this time. He said that all his strength is now gone and then he's now sleeping in the house. All his energy he has invested during the war, but now he's weak now. There's no more energy to use and work in the garden or do other things.
To shake his hand and actually personally thank him for the work he did 60 years ago. That's something special that I'll never forget.
Many a mother in Australia, when the busy day is done, sends a prayer to the Almighty for the keeping of her son, asking that an angel guide him and bring him safely back. Now we see those prayers are answered on the Owen Stanley track. Though they haven't any halos, only holes slashed through their ear, and their faces marked with tattoos and with scratch pins in their hair, bringing back the badly wounded just as steady as the hearse, using leaves to keep the rain off, and as gentle as a nurse, slow and careful in bad places on the awful mountain track, and the look upon their faces makes us think that Christ was black. Not a move to hurt the carried, as they treat him like a saint. It's a picture worth recording that an artist's yet to paint. Many a lad will see his mother and the husbands, weans and wives, just because the fuzzy wuzzies carried them to save their lives. From mortar or machine gun fire or a chance surprise attack, to safety and the care of doctors at the bottom of the track. Many the mothers in Australia, when they offer up a prayer, mention these impromptu angels with the fuzzy wuzzy hair.
You know, every day just something comes along and blows you out of the water about this place. It's just awesome. Memories of my granddad. Every time I felt it was tough, I just thought of him and what he had to go through, and just found another spring in my step and just kept me going. That's all I kept thinking about.
They're tough, real tough. And we worked out in the last few days that over 96 kilometres of Kokoda trail, there's probably 3 kilometres of flat. And when you hit a hill, you know, they're pretty steep.
The terrain's heartbreaking, I reckon. Like, some you see a steep rise, see a very steep rise, and it might be smoothish sometimes, and then it's just straight up where you're climbing rocks and tree roots. then coming down it's the same. Might look sturdy, but a lot of the time it's very slippery and you slide, and you got to watch your footing all the time. Very hard.
You got to think of what the diggers did, you know, to keep it sort of going. You know, we're doing it easy compared to what they did. A lot easier.
Looking at the bloke's feet in front of me. Just watching his feet and just put one foot in front of the other all the way.
The downs are probably actually worse than the ups, just from the sheer pressure that it applies to your quads and knees and ankles even.
Just the thought of going home, I think. Just miss being at home, the family and the kids, and just all the luxuries that you miss. Out here, they just sort of live and get by with nothing. So yeah, I just can't wait to go home.
I just don't know whether to laugh or cry. Just so happy to be here. It's just been a huge 8-9 days. I just can't talk, mate. It's just lovely what blokes like brothers now. It's just awesome. That's it, mate.
I feel amazing.
How'd you feel when you come over the thing?
Oh, that's the best thing I've achieved. Just to imagine how proud that my father and grandfather would be that my brother and I have retraced the footsteps of my grandfather in World War II. It's a pretty good sense of achievement when you get to the top here and look back at what you've just covered over a week.
I'm just overwhelmed with emotion. I've kept a lot of emotion inside me for 5 years now. For my deceased father and grandfather, who died within 3 days of each other. I think it's taken something as enormous as this to dig it out. And hopefully it assuages the pain that our family have endured for 5 years. Because it seems like yesterday still.
Sun I go down, sun I come up, nawari stapit, Tongol West Papua. Sun I go down, sun I come up, nawari stapit, Tongol West Papua. Only like in freedom, yeah, freedom.
Just like what we went through almost 5 years ago, it just makes you put things into perspective. And there's just things you squabble over and arguments you have with people, and at the end of the day you think, oh God, there's people that have been through a lot worse than us, and does it really matter? So this is just one of those things that makes you put things in perspective.
group of guys that I've got a bond with for the rest of my life, whether I like it or not. It was a great trip. Everyone loved it, and I can bump into any of those guys in the street for the rest of my life and talk about it.
I hope that one day Kokoda will become one of the great pilgrimages for Australians to do, just as a bit of a yardstick of mental toughness and the Aussie Anzac spirit.
I'd seen photos before we got there, but nothing could describe the view and how beautiful it was and how much of a tribute that really was to the Aussies. You know, it couldn't be better. That's just the best place I've been to.
I'll get one of the bases, but it hasn't got the...